Dear Star, hello everybody and welcome to another assembly. We have ahead of us only one more week of learning at home. It's brilliant news, as you would have heard earlier this week, that on the 8th of March we are able to open our doors to everybody again, and we are just thrilled. We've missed you all so much, we really have. You've been amazing in every possible way, but it's so much fun when you're here, and we're going to have a great time getting back on with your learning, getting to see all of your friends and so on again. It's going to be fantastic. We'll talk to you next week a little bit more about how things will work at school, but it will be very similar to how things were before Christmas, if you can think back that far. Probably the only little difference really will be that more adults, more teachers and support staff will be wearing masks in and around the school building. So maybe in corridors or in other spaces where there's other people, you'll see the adults wearing their masks a little bit more. But other than that, it will be very, very similar to how we were before Christmas, and we cannot wait. Now, my assembly is going to do some magic in a minute. I'm going to jump back into half term because during half term week last week, I had a phone call, a video call with Eintou Pearl Springer. Now, Eintou is a poet and a playwright and an author who lives in Trinidad and Tobago, which is in the Caribbean. And I met Trinidad quite a long time ago, and she was a very, very inspiring person to meet then. And I was delighted to be able to meet her on a Zoom call. So we'll go to say hello to her in just a moment. But before we do, I was wondering, because we'll be using some virtual assemblies for a little bit longer, even when you're back at school, I was wondering whether any of you might know anybody around the world. Perhaps if they live in a faraway country, or perhaps they do a job which is unusual or interesting, it would be really good to know if they might like to join me on an assembly. If you think they might, please ask them and let me know on my email address, grown-ups. It would be great to have some more people joining us in our assemblies from around the world and from all walks of life. So do let me know. Right, so without further ado, we will jump back to half term to meet Eintou. Here we go. Hello, Eintou.
Hello. Good to see you.
It's lovely to see you. Thank you so very much for joining us today. Now, Eintou, I will explain to the children watching. I met you now quite a long time ago in the 1980s when I was quite small myself.
1986.
1986, there we go. So I would have been very young and you came to stay with us, and I remember it very, very well. Eintou, thank you for joining us today. Did you find a poem that you wanted to share?
Well, it's very interesting because your father and mother were very, very, very good to me and my family. We were an immigrant family, a single mother with 3 girls, and Mike Chislett took us into his home, and I get very emotional, and I think it is a wonderful lesson and story for us as we grapple with all the problems in the world, that we remember to be kind and loving to each other. And so many years have passed, and now I'm in touch with his son. He's also a teacher, and it is one of the greatest professions in the world. So it's a pleasure. My heart is full. So I wrote this for the children of Uphaven School in Wiltshire, England in 1986. So they will know something about me and the place where I had come from and brought my children. And so this is dedicated with a lot of love to Mike and Sue.
Thank you.
I want to know of people living in the sun. I want to know of islands, learn them one by one. Lands of Steelban and Calypso, beaches, sea and sky. Within your eyes like paradise, a great, proud history lies. I want to know of Karina and Arawaks too, living in these islands long before 1492. 1492 is when Columbus came. Lands of steel band and calypso, beaches, sea and sky. Within your isles like paradise, a great proud history lies. I want to know how sugar helped make my country rich and the enslaved Africans brought in those terrible ships. Lands of steel band and calypso, beaches, sea and sky. Within your isles like paradise, a great proud history lies. I want to know of Nanny and Bookman and Anansi and people who fought ceaselessly to be free from slavery. Lands of steel band and calypso, beaches, sea and sky. Within your isles like paradise, a great proud history lies. I want to know of people indentured from India, bringing their history and culture for all the world to share. I want to know of people living in our midst whose history has been linked to mine through many centuries. I want to know and know and know and help to bring about respect and understanding and sharing in this land. Lands of steel band and calypso, beaches, sea and sky. Within your isles like paradise, a great proud history lies.
Beautiful. Thank you, Eintou, so very, very much. And as you said, that does answer a lot of the questions that our children had. They wanted to know what it's like to be and to live in Trinidad and Tobago, and that is a wonderful, wonderful poem. Thank you so much. I will.
So now I'm going to do a story.
Oh, bless you. Well,
yes.
but you mentioned you mentioned Anansi actually in that poem.
Yes.
And Anansi is a very important character figure, god to some people. You're certainly better to explain him than I. Could you outline who Anansi is for us, please?
Anansi is the god of wisdom of the Akan people. And he's a very important character. Now, I have another story about how Anansi came to the Caribbean and spread all over the world. But I will tell them that story another day because I really hope we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll hold you to that, definitely.
Yes, it will be my great pleasure. And so Anansi came to the Caribbean, but the Akan people, everywhere you find people who hold on to their culture, whether it's the Greeks, the Romans, the Africans, they are able to deal with pressure, it gives them, the people's culture give them the courage to fight. So Anansi, the god of wisdom, is well known because the Akan people from whom he came were the most feared fighters in the region. In fact, some islands actually passed a law that they would not bring Akan people because they were rooted in their culture. And Anansi was the heart of it. He was the god of wisdom. So he would encourage them to subterfuge and open revolution. He is the one who would give the old woman the knowledge of the herbs to use to poison the enslavers, or he would be the one who would say, yes, master, no, master, all right, master, and then turn around and wage war. So he is this mythical character, so important in the fight against enslavement. His image has been distorted a little bit by European mythology, which has shown him to be deceitful, greedy, all kinds of negatives, not understanding that Anansi was a great strategist and a god of wisdom and used all these gifts to help his people fight and eventually win against enslavement.
And you have a story involving Anansi for us today?
Now I have created a whole slew of Anansi stories. I keep my stories in special cloths. And I have to speak very nicely to the cloth so that the story will be revealed. And I have to make this magic so Nancy will be pleased. And I will have the memory and the wisdom to tell the story. So normally when I'm in front of a group, you know, I ask people to close their eyes tightly and concentrate so that the story will come out and be rich and beautiful. And then we have the magic words that we say. And since they are not here to answer, I will have to say an answer. So I will close my eyes tightly and say the magic words. Crack, crack, monkey break it back for a piece of pomerac. Well, Anansi lived with his wife and children in this little island in Trinidad. And then everybody started to get sick. People were coughing, people were getting fever, aches and pain, and everybody was scared. And Nancy's wife told him, Nancy, you know you, stay home. Don't be going out and mixing with people and take your medication. But he wouldn't listen. And then the great God Naomi called Nancy. And he said, Nancy, you are the God of wisdom. I want to give you a message to carry to all the people so that they will be saved from this terrible sickness. They have to stay away from each other. They have to wear masks. They have to wash their hands all the time. And they have to keep their surroundings and themselves clean. So Nancy went back and said, wife, you know what Naomi tell me? The same thing you were telling me that I have to do. Nancy's wife said, you don't ever listen to me. You are one hardened man. Well, and Nancy did like Naomi said, and he went and told everybody. And Naomi said to wash all their hands clean, 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 clean. Wash all their hands clean, clean, clean. And all that, not to crowd up together. Stay home unless you absolutely have to go out. And when you're going out, cover your face. And Nancy tell everybody that. But Nancy feel that he's so big and great, he's the God of wisdom, that he don't have to follow the rules. So Nancy going out every night with his friends. He going by the beach, he liming, doing everything. Every night the wife come home and say, Nancy, you harden like stick break inside your ears, you don't hear. The day you get sick, don't bring no sickness home here for me and these children. And Nancy said, she always quarreling about something. And he dismissed the wife. One night, late, because of Nancy out late every night, the wife in her bed sleeping, and she hear, and Nancy coughing. And she get off the bed quick, 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 quick. She said, don't come inside here. Don't come in here with that coughing business, you know. You're not going to make me and these children get sick at all. And Nancy said, but you can't put me out my own house. This is my, don't come in here. You harden, stick break in your ears. Where you get your cold is the same place to go and blow your nose, not inside here. And Nancy beg and beg and beg. Anyway, in the end, she feels sorry for him. She said, oh, you could go in the garage outside and lie down. So he went in the garage. Madam and Nancy cover up her face and she takes sheet and towel and thing and stay at distance and hand it to Nancy. Say, hey, make yourself comfortable with that. And every day she would cook food and cover up her face and carry for her husband. And Nancy coughing. The wife went in the yard and picked all the medicine, all the herbal medicine that she know, and she gave Nancy. And Nancy said, this thing bitter. This thing tastes bitter. Drink your medicine. Who can't hear this how to feel? Well, and Nancy there, he unhappy, he miserable. But he is the God of wisdom. So he started to think. And he started to think. And he thought, 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 and then he had an idea. He said, I'm going to spin a web. I'm going to spin a big, 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 big web. And Nancy started to spin and spin and spin and spin the web wide, wide, until Nancy started to talk to his friends and them. And he wasn't happy with that. He wanted to see them and see everybody, and he wanted everybody to see him. So he spin and spin and spin and spin and spin until he created a big, big, big web. Because you know one thing Nancy could do is spin web, because Nancy is a spider and Nancy is a man. And the web gets so big that it covered the whole world and became the World Wide Web. And that is how we could see one another to talk today. Well, only Nancy feeling better. He said, wife, I could come back inside. So, all right. Hope you have no more sickness to spread for me and these children. All right. She let him come in. And Nancy went humble, humble. And he tell the wife, darling, I'm real sorry. I'm real sorry I was so hard and I didn't listen to you. But you know something, man, Nancy, if I didn't get sick and I wasn't hard, I would have never invented the World Wide Web. Crack, crack, monkey break it back for a piece of pomerac. The story end and the wire bend. How do you like that?
Love it. That was absolutely brilliant, Eintou. Thank you so, so much. I just caught Nancy's cough. Bear with me. Excuse me. I don't think it's related. I'm sure it's not. So don't worry, everybody. That was a fantastic story. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, Eintou, you write poems, you write plays, and obviously you write stories as well. Lots of our children were wondering what it is that inspires you as a writer.
Okay. I think that my culture is very rich. The culture of Caribbean people, of African people. And it has really been regarded as second class. For instance, we talk about Greek mythology as classical mythology, European music as classical music, and there does not seem to be space to give recognition to the mythologies, the ideologies of other peoples. I grew up in a very small village in Trinidad called Santa Cruz. And we had all the elements of the culture. We had stick fight, we had carnival, we had First Peoples, we had everything that was Trinidad and Tobago culture. And I found it was so rich. And when I started to go to school and get an education, I realized that I was nothing, that I was Black and poor. And that didn't sit good with me because I was already rooted in something that was rich. So I decided to spend my life giving credit and recognition and respect to the culture that had birthed me, so that what I call it is the process of harmony in diversity, so that we could respect each other's culture without giving prominence to anybody's culture over anybody else's. So I glory in my culture and I spread it, and You know, I had a grandfather who was born on a slave plantation in St. Vincent, which is another island, right after emancipation. Emancipation was 1838. And he used to teach me a song that came from the plantation days that I think has lived with me, and as I hear his voice and all the pain of enslavement. And he used to sit me on his knee as a small child. He lived to 106, 3, 4, 5, and sing me this song, which was so sad, which encompassed all the pain of enslavement and of his ancestors and my ancestors. And I think that in a way has inspired and what I call jumbied me, be the influence of my ancestors to help me to go and look for all the stories, all the songs, and give them prominence and respect. So my whole life has been doing that, whether it's poetry, plays, storytelling, which I love. You know, I love storytelling above every other art. And when I was in England for that year, 85, 86, I told stories throughout the country. And because storytelling is such a kind of art, although I do not tell the stories in standard English, I think the children understood, as I hope your children will understand my non-English English.
They certainly will. They certainly
yes.
will. Thank you. Art is a powerful thing indeed. And
I tell you.
Yeah, thank you.
So I just want to share a little something especially for those children. And it's a blessing in the form of poetry. And it says, who am I? I am God's child. But to catch the sun and rain and grow and flower for my while. Who am I? I am God's child with every right to my own patch of rain and sun. It is my right to grow and flower for my while. Who am I? I am God's child with every right to know love. So blessings to all the children.
Eintou, thank you so very, very much. It's been so lovely to see you. I'll say bye for now and then I'll stop the recording, all right? So thank you, Eintou, from all of us at Penpole. It's been wonderful to meet you today and we look forward to you joining us again soon. All right, so
anytime, it will be a privilege.
So there we go, that was Eintou. I hope you enjoyed her poems, her stories, and her words of wisdom. Eintou, thank you very, very much once more. Now, I'm sure many of you will have watched that and are now inspired to go and write your own creations. Please do, if you'd like to, send them my way and I can forward them on to Eintou as well. I know she would be thrilled. Don't forget, it's the weekend, it's time for you to relax, it's time for you to unwind. It's only 9 days until we're all back here at school together. In the meantime though, have a great time. See you soon. Bye-bye.